again with Mr. John Killick. Thank you again for your time, sir. This is part 2.
Well, it's great to be here. We've got to finish the story, don't we?
We do have to finish the story. I was going to say, dive in, John, and we'll pick up where we left off, mate.
Well, we're in a pretty tight spot. We're down in Accusations. We're down in Pentridge. We're surrounded by police, SWAT teams, and there were 18 carloads of police there. And they had explosions. They had the works, shot out all the lights. It was quite an eerie experience. We did a deal over the loudspeaker eventually and the governor, I knew he'd keep his word if he did, if he gave us his word on something. You had 1,000 crims listening, and he wouldn't ever be able to do a deal again if he went back on it. And the deal was that we'd be kept in low court as opposed to going to the Supreme Court or higher court where we would have maybe got 14 years. But you can only get 2 years at that stage in low court. And that we wouldn't be bashed because we knew that doing what I've done, I hit the prison guard with an iron bar, taking his gun.
Not looking good.
They'd probably kill me, So that was the deal, and he kept his word. The guard was okay. He got, I think, stitches in the head, and he was okay, survived. And so we went down H Division. They were really upset that they couldn't touch us. They played psychological mind games with me, and
they must have been filthy with you, mate.
Oh, absolutely were. And they'd already had me down there and bashed me senseless in '66. So that was one of the things that motivated me to hit the screw and take the gun because it was me against them. And he admitted later he told me he would have shot me, so I felt better about that too.
You clubbed him one,
that he would have shot me, and he said it was his duty to do that. So what had happened, that was 68. In 1967, early 67, Ronald Ryan was hanged. Now, he was the last person, because there was so much controversy about it, he was the last person in Australia to be executed. And it caused so much controversy that's never happened again because there's really a lot of doubt that he was the guy because he was standing on a flat surface. They got over the wall. They got chased. He had the rifle. Walker had been trapped. He fired a shot, or tried to. He said the gun jammed, but he fired a shot on a flat surface.
Yep.
And at the same time, a screw from the tower fired a shot at Walker, who'd been trapped by the screw. Now, the screw fell over dead. He'd been hit. Forensics got up at the trial later and said that the bullet had entered at a downward angle and that the shooter would have had to be 9 feet tall. So it obviously, the argument was from the defence that he'd been shot from the guy on the tower.
The guard.
Yeah, but the jury still found Ryan guilty, even though they never found the actual bullet.
Because I did hear that years ago. There was a lot of people that say that he was actually innocent of that.
Well, the guard later hanged himself. Didn't hang himself. Later killed himself 2 years later, which is another point that you've got to look at. Anyway, so when it came to time to hang him, execute him, there was a huge stink about it because the guy that I told you about, Rory, who'd raped and murdered the 6-year-old and the 16-year-old girl, and got bashed when we arrived at Pentridge, he also got sentenced to death. They commuted the sentence on him and went ahead with Ryan.
Just to life sort of thing,
No, he got 50 with 40, just a little one, and 50 with 40 years on the bottom. But he only did 26. They brought in remissions. He did 26. And I heard he went to France and did well as an artist. He's a very good artist. So they hanged Ryan and let this guy go. Well, everybody was upset about that, you can rape and murder little girls, but
you can rock spider.
Don't kill one of our officers. And Boldy said that the Premier was responsible for it. He said that while I'm Premier, anyone who kills one of my officers, be police or prison guard, will hang. And they said, well, what about if they rape and murder a little girl? He just turned his head and walked inside. And so that was
good point, though.
Well, it was a good point. And so that had happened. And so how they tried to get me is when I went down to H Division, the governor used to come down and say, the three of us, you're okay. You're okay. One guy cracked up, couldn't handle it, finished up going to our rep saying on. He broke down. They just put so much pressure on him. And I used to say, yeah, I'm okay. About 2 weeks later, it's Friday night, going home, and they came, the whole team of them came down. Oh, when I say a team, about 6 of them came down and opened the door. I was in the end cell. I said, step out, and I thought, here it comes. Yeah. I'm going to come. And I stilled myself. I thought, this is going to be really, really heavy, this. And I said, step out, quick march. Used to have to march there. And they marched me up to the death cell, with the observation cell where Ryan had been kept.
Yeah.
And they used to keep him there 24 hours a day. They had 3 different guards every 8 hours. Jesus. Lights on, watching everything he did, so he couldn't kill himself. They wanted,
they wanted him to hang.
Yeah, wanted him to hang. And so they told me to step in there. And I stepped in, they locked the thing, and I was on observation, the lights on, etc. And they said, Officer, the board died 4 o'clock this afternoon. You'll hang like Ryan, you bastard. And walked away. And I thought, shit. And I thought about it, and I thought, if this guy has died, they will hang me, because Ryan, there's doubt about whether Ryan did it. He did it during the chase and the spur of the moment. Mine was premeditated. I had this guy premeditated, coaxed him down and hit him. And there's no doubt I'd have been hanged if he'd have died. So I thought, it was enough to send you insane.
Yeah.
But I thought about it, and I've always been a bit logical, and I'm trying to, and I said, if it was true, then the homicide squad would have been down. It wouldn't be a couple of rotten screws, tell me. It'd be the homicide squad who would come down, take me out and formally charge me. Yeah. Not a few screws saying, oh, he's died and you're going to. So I suspected very strongly that it was psychological.
Yeah, psychological. They're messing with you.
You still had that doubt. You still had that doubt. And anyway, they come back on a Sunday night and said, step out. Officer Du Bois made a remarkable recovery and put me back in the cell. But they're the sort of mind games that they play.
Mind games. Because if it had been true too, they would have been kicking the shit out of you already. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
would have flogged you hourly.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, So, and I used to get books sent in. In those days, you get books sent in. They'd rip the couple of last pages out, and I'd get mirrors sent in. They'd break them. So, and just all these games. You get a buy-up, I wouldn't get it. Letters go missing. Just every way to get me. There were no phone calls. And so it was just really heavy stuff. I did 4 years down there. And I eventually got out. We had a Royal Commission. There was riots down there eventually, and the guys just couldn't take it anymore. And I testified at the Royal Commission that there's no place like Accusations to illustrate man's inhumanity to man. And that was 50 years ago. In this September, it's 50 years since it happened. And funny enough, they're reopening Pentridge for the visitors and Accusations. So they're doing that, and I'm actually going down there to celebrate the reopening. And it's 50 years since it happened.
Jesus, that'll be interesting for you going there 50 years.
It certainly will be. And they've recorded my voice saying what happened and how it was. And it's a voiceover, so when people go down, they'll hear my voice described.
Commentary on that.
Yeah, so I think the cards fell in place for that to happen because, it's 50.
I know Chopper Reed would talk about H Division all the time. Apparently he was there.
Well, he went after me.
Early 80s, I suppose.
Well, I got out in late 72.
Yep.
I think he went there in 73. So, I just missed Chopper.
He talked about it a lot. Yeah, it was a bastard.
Yeah, well, that's right. I do think it was a lot tougher
your time
in our time because in Chopper's time they already had the riots and there were a lot of you didn't have to march when he was down there. There was no more breaking rocks, stuff like that. All that had gone, Anyway, so I got extradited to Sydney. They grabbed me on release and took me back for that bank with the Commonwealth Bank where it had a name on it and. Another bank, but I did pretty well there. They took it into consideration all the time. I'd done at Pentridge, and the hard time I'd done it in Accusations. I'd done 4 years in Accusations, and so I only got a couple of years. And I think 9 months on the bottom. So I got out in July 73, which was pretty good, really. Yeah. And I settled in, met Gloria, and we finished up getting married. I worked as a photographer, I had shops, and I'd done writing courses when I was down in Accusations, and I was the first one to be able to ever do it. I had about 6 stories published, got a scholarship. I was told to get a scholarship, Gough Whitlam had just become Prime Minister, and they said apply for a scholarship. He's handing them out like candy. So I applied one, and they gave me, Gough, you want that?
Gough, he was doing a lot for the arts.
He was doing all he could. Of course, the country was going broke under Gough, but
I've heard. He enjoyed himself.
He enjoyed himself. He just wanted to be, help everybody. And so, I did pretty good, but I was still very bitter about what had happened. I hadn't recovered. Psychologically, all the stuff that had happened was pretty heavy, and I had a few run-ins. I remember my dad was dying, and they said he hasn't got long to live, and I went over there to see him, and he'd stopped drinking, I'd stopped him drinking, and he's on all his tablets, and he couldn't eat. He only eats salads. I said, stuff this. I said, get your walking stick, we're going out of here. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, took him down, put him in the car. We went over to the Coogee Bay Hotel. That was Terry Page running at the time.
Famous pub.
Famous.
Coogee, changed hands.
And we went in there, and he just changed from, when we went in there, he just changed. He became the old guy, the guy that used to go to the pub and stand at the bar.
Yeah.
He was back in those days.
The 7 ounce.
And we stood there and we just drank all day, reminiscing about old things. Father and son, and forgot all the bad stuff that happened. And it was just a great day. But he had 15 Scotches and I had 15 Bacardis. That's true. That's true. I don't lie. So when we walked out, we didn't know what day it was. So we get in the car, and I was driving a bit erratic, and he's demanding I stop, and I told him, no, I'm driving. He said, I'll take it. I said, you haven't had the licence for 6 years, you're drunk. And so he got upset, so I dropped him home, and then I decided to go and see my brother. Well, I got lost because I just, it was getting worse. I was getting drunker, Just should never have got in the car. It's a really bad thing that I did, and driving over the bridge, and then I finished up down Manly somewhere and driving around in a circle, and then these 2 girls are hitching a ride. And, I pulled over and they were drunk too.
Oh.
Where you going? They said, well, they hopped in the car, one in the front, one in the back, and we're in this little blue Beetle, 3 drunks on a road to nowhere. We didn't know where we're going. And so in the end, they told me, I don't know where I'm going. I said, well, I know, and we're arguing about it. And next thing, we're arguing. This girl from behind grabs me around grabs me around the neck. And grabbed me around the neck, and I smashed into her stationary car. And I hit my head and knocked me out, and I had bloody blood pouring out everywhere. And I get out, I come to, and there's all these people around the car, and one of the girls sitting on the side, she'd dived out of the car, and she'd hurt a collarbone. So, and they said, it's all right, mate, everything's all right, we'll call the police. I said, oh, thank you. And I was on parole.
I'm out of here. I'm fucking out of here.
And I said,
thanks very much.
And I said, I've got asthma. I said, I can't breathe. And they said, give him a bit of room, he's got asthma. I took off. They come after me. I dived over a fence. I ripped bloody suit pants, and I was just desperate. I thought if they get me like this, I'm going back to jail. And so it was irresponsible. It never should have happened. But that's. I still had all that bitterness and a sense of stuff authority about me. So
it's understandable. What a hell of a day.
Yeah. So I
bet your dad got pissed.
I ran into a block of units and ran upstairs. Because these guys, they said, get him, they were going to bloody kill me, a bloody whole heap of them. And, and I was still a good runner. I tell you what, they weren't far behind me, and they didn't see my window block, and I banged on a door, knocked on a door, and someone looked through those peepholes, and I said, "Oh, they're not coming out." They said, "Look at me," and I went to walk away, and the door opened. There's the best looking sword by still say that I've ever seen. Yeah. She had a see-through night dress on, and she said, "Yes," and I said, "Oh."
Hello.
I said, I'm being chased by the bad men. I said, they're going to get me. I said, could I come in and phone my brother? She said, yeah, come on in. So I go in, and I said, yeah, if they catch me, they'll kill me. She said, I feel I'm going to kill my boyfriend when he gets home. I said, what happened? She said, he's a manly first-grade footballer, and he's supposed to be here for dinner, and he's not here. She said, I know what he's doing. He's with his mates pissing up because they won, you know? And I thought,
what a day.
Yeah, but I thought this manly first-grade footballer I'm standing there with his girl in the sea for a night dress. All I want to do is get out. I want to get out, you know. So I rang my brother, you know, and I was exhausted. She rang my brother, and I'm lying on the floor. And she said, rang my brother and told him where to come. And she said, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a photographer. Because I used to do photography. And she said, well, what do you do? I'd like to do all these portfolio. Would you do a portfolio? I said, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. So then I passed out. Yeah. So when I come to, my brother's there, and I look around and there's no footballer there, you know. She's got a dressing gown on by now, and so we're leaving, and she hands me a slip of paper. It's got a phone number on it. She said, that's my number. You can call me.
Give us a call.
Yeah, give us a call. So we going downstairs.
He said, for sure.
We get in the car, and my brother said, how long you known her? I said, I just met her. He said, oh, bullshit. I said, I'm telling you. I said, I don't know. I don't know who it is.
I just knocked on the door. Yeah.
So I knocked, and he said, what, look at you. He said, come on. He said, she wouldn't. I said, I'm telling you, I don't know the girl. Yeah. He said, you've got a phone number there. So I ripped it up and threw it away. I said, there, let's get on. And that's it. So I can never remember later where it was or anything because I was too drunk. But that's a true story. What a hell
of a day.
And no, but that's not the end of it, because the cops came and had the car.
Yeah.
And to cut a long story short, I had to do an armed robbery to pay off a corrupt cop to get out of that. Yeah.
Bloody
hell. That's a true story. Yeah.
Oh, no, I can believe it, mate. Back
and you look back on these things and you realise you're irresponsible, you've done the wrong thing. And I've done a lot of wrong things. Yeah. And that was certainly one of them. And I didn't put that in the book because they wouldn't let me put it in the book. The book I wrote last game, they said it's too bad. I said, look, I robbed banks and all that. They said, yeah, but this is worse. Well, I don't think it is, but
no.
You know, that the bribe of the cops, see, and that took place at a bus stop, and he was looking around. He thought I might have been setting him up, but it just shows you, you know, because one of the girls got hurt too. See, and you know, and because my parole, it was a matter of either pay up or your parole's going to get pulled, you know.
And she's grabbed the arms around you just because everyone was arguing. And, yeah.
Well, you know, you try and tell a drunk what he's doing. Yeah. They're drunk.
Yeah. But you're driving a car.
Yeah.
What was it? It was a hell of a day, mate.
It's 16 Bacardis or 15 Bacardis.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just one of the things that happened. And so I had a shop, great shop, and then I bet with an SP bookie, and then it was raining all day, and I rang up and putting bets on, and it got to 2,000. I usually had a 200 limit, and he let me get the 2,000. And then I said, look, you know, I want to go higher. He said, no, you can't. I said, look, you know, you're supposed to stop and get 200. And I put 2,000 on a dog. And when we were parked, got beat ahead. I would have got 10 grand back. Then I put another 2 grand on a dog. He finished up, I lost about 10 grand. This guy. Yeah.
That's big money.
Yeah, well, on the phone.
Yeah.
And so I would have paid him. I'd have worked it out maybe a couple of years because I had a shop. I would have paid him a certain amount each week.
Yeah.
But he came around the next morning putting the heavy on. Said he had the contacts of the police and this and that. Whoever I paid, he wanted proof I could pay, etc. And I just said, so when he went, I said to Gloria, I'm not paying him. Yeah, we packed up, sold the shop to my brother, and got out. Just didn't pay him. And the funny thing is that he come around threatening my brother and later on, but they didn't get anything. The cop come around to see my father. It shows you that just what it was like in those days.
Yeah.
A corrupt cop trying to get an illegal debt from a bookmaker. Anyway, what happened is I ran into that guy. Gloria's father was in hospital.
Yeah.
He'd had bad liver failure.
Right.
In intense care at Royal Offshore. And I went in there and there's the bookie. He went in there just a couple of years later with his wife, holding his wife's hand. And he just looked at me. We ran outside and we got into it. And punched on for about 5 minutes. Then he ran back inside. That was the end of it.
How bloody interesting, mate. These things come...
I know.
Yeah.
All he did was trying to kick me all the time, you know. And
Yeah.
I'd done a bit of boxing, danced around.
Yeah.
I reckon I was on top, but that's why I ran inside. But
You jobbed him a few times.
yeah, he got a couple in, but yeah. So you just remember things like that, and I was doing that peephole. I told the girl looking out. Well, I used to go and stall peepholes. Dad said someone come around and he told me about it. I said, "What a good idea!"
Yeah.
So I bought all these peepholes, bought a drill, and went around knocking on doors and installing these peepholes. I only used to charge $5. Bought the peepholes for about $1.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was doing 20 a day, making about $100 a day.
Actually, when they came out, the peepholes, everyone wanted it.
Look, I was making good money, and then some woman just was suspicious of me, and you wouldn't believe it. She rang the cops. She didn't want me, and just suspicious could I had a drill and all that. They pulled me up, 2 cops. I'll never forget this. They said, "What do you got in the bag?" I said, "Peepholes." You know, and they said, I call them security door. I said, "They're security door viewers."
Yeah, yeah.
They said, "What are they?" I said, "Peepholes."
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, have you got a licence?" I said, "You don't know." They said, "Yes, you do."
Yeah.
They said, "Yes, you do. You need a licence." They said, "We've had a complaint about it." I said, "What's the complaint?" They said, "You've got an electric drill there." They said, "You could use that for brain." Yeah, they'll really just come on to me. And I thought, if they get me down to the police station with my background, you don't know what they'll all do.
Yeah.
So I looked at them, and one was fat. There was a Laurel and Hardy show, you know, in uniform, you know. You could see they wouldn't run 10 metres. And I said, "Well, look, each security door viewer's got my name on it."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, where?" And I showed him. I said, "Well," and I threw the bloody peephole as his face was shot off.
You took off.
Yeah, they didn't even come after me, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's so I went to Gloria. I said, "Look, there's no more peepholes. I can't, you know, don't keep an eye." So that was the finish of that. So we 5 years I lived a pretty good life, working most of the time, but there was always hassles and and
you'd have a go at going straight.
Yeah, and
you'd end up back
but I couldn't get a decent job with my background, and you know, I remember I was running Orange Spot, that little milk bar there, for running it for about 4 months, working under 2 names to get the with baby had just been born, our son, and I was working under 2 names, and I was just getting there at like 6 in the morning, leaving at 11 o'clock at night, getting 2 wages, and was making big money. But I was out on my feet, and the guy was a Jew, and he said, "You can't put bloody ice cream in the milkshakes." He said, "Because it works out, the accountant worked it out, and it costs a certain amount of money."
Yeah.
I said, "Look, you know, because
ice cream in the
I said, "You've got to have ice." I said, he said, "I'm telling you, you don't. If you work for me, you don't put ice cream in the milkshakes." I said, "Yeah, okay, all right." So I had a bet. This day, this is a true story. I had a bet, and he wouldn't let me bet because someone told him I'd been down to tab and closed the thing and went down to tab. Yeah, I was there bloody from 6 in the morning till bloody 11 at night. I had to go to toil and that, so I wasn't allowed to have a radio to listen to radio. So I had a fairly big bet on this horse, Leilani, and I'm desperate to know how it's going. I got $200 on it, you know. Now, that was a fairly big bet in those days, and you know. So I just rang a number. I tried to ring the radio, I rang any number, you know.
Yeah.
And I told this guys from this radio station we're having a competition, and I said, you've got this horse, you've drawn this horse, Leilani, if it wins, you get a prize. And I said, get your radio. And he's got his radio.
Yeah.
And I said, switch it on the station. He's got it on the station there racing,
Yeah.
And he said, well, which horse am I on? I said, you're on Leilani. And they go to line at Leilani, and this other horse grabbed it on the line and went over the line like together. And he said, I said, fuck. And he said, what happened? I said, it got beaten and hung up. So I was in a bad mood. That poor guy would be wondering what the hell happened.
Yeah.
And the radio station, So I was in a really bad mood, and then this guy comes in, not long after, orders a milkshake.
Yeah.
He sees me makes the milkshake. He said, where's the ice cream?
Yeah.
I said, we don't put ice cream in a milkshake.
Yeah.
He said, you've got to put ice cream in a milkshake. And I basically agreed with him. But
he's not wrong.
Yeah, I said, no, look, we don't. He said, I'm telling you, I want ice cream. I said, well, you can have it, you've got to pay for it.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not paying for it. And he's really getting aggressive, this guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought I was going to have to fight him. Well, I was thinking about that horse getting beaten. I was ready to fight him over this bloody milkshake.
I've had a shit of a day. Yeah.
And anyway, he stormed me. So I'm going to tell all my friends don't come here. I said, you do what you want. Then I got the milkshakes, put about 4 scoops of ice cream and bloody drank. Anyway, I finished up leaving that job, and so I was existing, but
cream there, weren't
but you can't gamble and doing what I was doing, and I was getting in deep in the end. After about 5 years, I'd gone straight and met a guy.
It must be a battle, mate.
It
you
was
got the straight, and
I wasn't
and the
rehabilitated.
It's available there,
Yeah,
and
I wasn't rehabilitated. I'd done no course, hates and bash this, that. No, I'd done some writing course through my own. And couldn't make any money out of that. I had short stories published. You get $50 for a short story, and might take a month to get it. You can't live on it. So
there's no rehabilitation. It was up to you. Wasn't it?
I was really battling, and gambling. I was gambling. So it's just a matter of time. And I bumped into this guy at the races, and he said, "Oh, John, he wanted to rob a bank."
Yep.
And I knew a bank in Adelaide. We'd been over to Adelaide for a couple of years and come back, and because Dad was pretty crook. Yeah. And so I told him about this bank, and we planned it. But when I went around to his place a couple of days before it happened, he was fighting with his missus. They had heroin there, and I realised the junkies. And I didn't know much about it. The baby was crying. They had no food, and I pulled out. So he went ahead and did it with the guy that I introduced to. He didn't know who that guy was. But they went and substituted his wife in to drive a car. They went and did it. Well, the guy got away that I introduced him to, but they got caught. Somebody got the number of the car, and they booked in a motel. He still had a gun. With him. And so they got caught. And I saw the statements later, and he tried to keep me out of it. Yeah. But they couldn't find out the guy, didn't know who he was. So they'd done a deal in the end. He let his wife out. He had to give him some, and he gave him me. I was in Sydney when it happened. They run in, got me, took Gloria and John, put them in a room, verbal with me, just typed up a statement, said that I did it, and I didn't. Yeah. And I had about 7 witnesses in Sydney who actually saw me in Sydney, and they hauled me, and I got extradited to South Australia on the grounds that Rogerson verbal me, one of the ones who verbal me, and I went over and Rogerson got up in court and said I'd said this and said that, and they believed him instead of me. I don't think they would now, but the fact is I went down and I had 7 people saying where I was. It was called the Perfect Alibi because I'd written a story called the Perfect Alibi. Yeah, I'd had it published even overseas, and they used it.
He had a lot of clout, Roger, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Well, the prosecutor got up and said, look, Perfect Alibi, this story, this is the way this man thinks. He thinks perfect alibis. He set it up. He's had someone come in and sign that thing for him. Yeah. And he's got these people lying. They didn't see him in Sydney. 7 people, all squareheads. Anyway, I went down under, and I won it in a high court. I went to Vietnam, did 3.5 years over there. And, that was the end of my marriage. It just, you can hardly ever get to see me, and you just remember stuff like that. And
well, you're helpless once you're in there.
Yeah, you are.
Everything else outside starts to fall apart. Really, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And so I was really bitter. But I won the High Court of Australia. I won an appeal. Yep. and they just quashed the convictions.
Yeah.
They said never should have been. And so I got out. I was expected to do bloody all this time, and I finished up. And there was a funny thing there too, I've got to tell you, because I was running a jail magazine, and it got bigger and bigger.
Oh.
When I started off, it was only 24 pages. We finished up, we had 96 pages. We sent it out to judges, lawyers, and even a judge was writing back saying this is great, keep us on the mail. And it was getting big and powerful, and we were putting very important articles in there. And they wanted it stopped. So what they did, now, I'm an escapee and all that. They called me in the office, and they said, John, congratulations. I said, what for? They said, we're giving you minimum security and you're going to a camp, a place called Coogee. And I'd never been, in my life, I'd always been max secure. I said, oh, no, I don't really want it because I'm really happy doing what I'm doing here. And they said, there's some max security. I said, yeah, but I'm running the jail magazine. I said, great job and I love it. I'd rather stay here. They said, no, you go to Coogee. No, I said, no, I wouldn't get visits there. I said, well, Miss comes over from Adelaide, I wouldn't get a visit. They said, no, look, John,
You've got no choice.
You're going to Coogee. I said, it's minimum security. I said, you can just walk off. They said, yeah. I said, if you send me to Coogee, I'm going to escape.
Yeah.
And he banged the table. He said, you will not escape. I said, I will escape. He said, I'm telling you won't escape. I said, I'm telling you I will escape.
Yeah.
So, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just the opposite. Normally you'd be begging to go to this place. And I'm telling you I want to go and I'm going to escape. And he's still saying he's going to send you.
Yeah.
And I said, I walked out. I said, if you send me there, I'm escaping. And I walked out.
Yeah.
He said, you won't escape. So
this was all because they wanted to camp.
Yeah. So whether or not I would have escaped, we don't know. But I think I might have escaped. But just to show them,
Yeah.
But anyway, about a week later, when the High Court Appeal, they come in, and he was choking. The guy come in, Deputy Governor. He said, got an announcement for you. You've won the High Court Appeal. He read it out. He just couldn't handle it. I'm walking out.
He was so pissed off.
So I got free. So I went home. Went home and unexpectedly, and but I was bitter, really bitter, and. This girl had been coming to visit me, and she was only about 18. And I finished up hooking up with this girl because the marriage was pretty stuffed. Yeah. And Gloria and I were arguing all the time. It was good to see my son. I spent a lot of time with him. But so, Gloria found out I had an affair with this girl and kicked me out. So I said to the girl, I'll take you home. She said, I want to go with you. I said, no, look, I'm not working. I said, I'm a criminal. Yeah. And she said, I don't care. I said, look. So we finished up. I taught her to shoplift. She's a better shoplifter than me. We were putting cans of cigarettes in cornflake boxes. Yeah. And 5 used to fit in Pervy and Skippy's cornflakes. Not
the big ones, the Skippies.
Not Kellogg's, but Pervy. Used to put double-sided tape in, go in with an empty box, buy them the day before and go in. And in those days, they didn't have all this electronic stuff. And they just go in, slip the cigarettes were on in little counters in those days, and just you'd take them, just go boom, 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 and have a little trolley, fold it over, put it on where they have a breakfast. She'd pick it up and walk out with an underarm. Yeah, they'd look at it, charge it 75 cents for 5 cartons of cigarettes. Yep. And we were making mints. We were making a mint of money, but I was betting huge, hiring cars, driving from state to state, taking it home to Adelaide, this, that, and sending money to Gloria. And in the end, we come unstuck on it. After a while, come unstuck after about a year of it. And so we get arrested, or she got arrested, but they grabbed me too with a car. Yep. And they found the cigarettes in the back, so they charged me. And they gave her bail. But I go into...
she sounds like she was enjoying it.
She was very good at it, yeah. So I went into jail Long Bay, and I knew I'd get bail. I'm going to Supreme Court on a Tuesday. I got to get bail. It's shoplifting. I know I'm going to get bail. And because they had no proof that I was doing all this other stuff, They got her coming out with cigarettes, not me. And so I said to the guy, look, I'm in this... So this guy, he hasn't got a TV, he's got nothing. I'd like to read some books. Is the library open? They said, well, no. They said, it's weekend. They said, but the librarian might open it for you. I said, well, who's the librarian? They said, Darcy Dugan. And finally, this guy was a legend, Darcy.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
You've heard, everyone heard of him as skateboy, bank robber.
And
we'd all heard about him. He kept escaping or trying to escape, and he spent most of his life in jail. And it was just a legend amongst the crims.
Yes.
And
I heard he was actually really academically very smart guy.
Oh, he's smart guy.
I've read a bit about him.
Yeah, he was a pretty smart guy. He could make coups and do all sorts of things, but he didn't have a lot of success escaping most of the time. But he tried, so he nearly got out of Grafton, and he did a lot of things. He only did the one bank robbery, but his mate shot the bank manager, and they sentenced him to death at one stage. Then they changed the government and changed it to life. Otherwise, he might have even been executed. So anyway, he'd just come back in. He'd been set up. The police were waiting for him. They knew he tried to rob a service station, and they were waiting for him. Yeah, he'd really gone down the hill. And but he came out. I waited for him, and they said, there he is. And he had spit-polished shoes. You could see a face in him, and his press things. He was really somebody.
Real old school.
And he strutted along, and I said, Darcy, can I see you for a minute? And he stopped. He looked across. I was in the yard, and he said, who are you? I said, my name's John Killick. I said, he said, do I know you? I said, no. I said, but I've heard about you. I said, when I was a kid, I still remember when you had. He said, that happened 20 years ago. I got life for it. I said, yeah, okay. And I said, all I wanted was, would you open the library for me and give me a couple of books? I said, I'll make sure I give them back to you, look over and give them back to you. I said, I'll go into court on Tuesday, I'll get bail. And he said, well, what are you charged with? I said, shoplifting. And he looked at all of them. He said, a bloody shoplifter wants Darcy Dugan to go and open the library for him to get him some books. And they all started laughing. And I nearly said, listen, I was in H2 for 4 years. I robbed a lot of banks more than you have. I nearly ripped into him. But I didn't, because I respected him. I knew he's finished, and I had a lot of respect for him, and just let him be who he is, and I said, you're all right, fair enough.
And he just pissed off.
He walked off. And that's the only time I ever met Darcy. But in a way, I'm putting him down, but I'm not, because that guy was a solid guy, and always fought the system. They crushed him. I wrote about him on the inside. He did 40 years in jail. And he never shot anybody, never killed anybody. His mate shot the bank, didn't kill him. And
that's a bloody long time.
Yeah, he done 40 years in jail. He never stopped trying to get out. And,
unbelievable, isn't it?
He didn't die in jail. He got out. And, he didn't die in jail. So that's the only time I ever met Darcy Dugan.
Yes.
Yeah, and I got out on bail and whatnot. And but how are we going on time? How long we got?
Oh, yeah, we're going to wrap it up shortly. We'll wrap it up shortly. Talking about your escapee, we got to get to the famous one.
Well, there's a famous one up in Queensland. We'll talk about it maybe next time, eh?
Love to.
We haven't got time to do that yet.
Mate, we're running out of time. That's our biggest problem. The gentleman here, he's got so many stories, and he's a terrific
I shouldn't have told you about the girl on night dress. That took too long.
No, that was bloody interesting, John.
Yeah.
Well, in the next few minutes, if you get to, everyone loves the helicopter.
Maybe we can, if we ever get back, we can talk about it, because the one up in Queensland was pretty good too. I think it rates with the one. So, but anyway, look, we skip forward. We go to the 90s, and I was going pretty well. I was going pretty well in the 90s. Although Gloria and I had split, we're still great friends. I was seeing John a lot. Got him into university and whatnot, and he was pretty bright, and everything was going pretty good. And then I met Lucy at a party.
I was going to say, where'd you meet her?
Yeah, met her at a party, and she was Russian, and I had a girl with me, Turkish girl, and her husband was flirting with the girl. Oh, and Lucy didn't give us stuff, and I said, he's coming on my girl a bit. Yeah, he was a professor. And she said, I don't care. She said, I'm going to leave him soon. She told me, And I said, oh, like that? And she said, yeah. I said, how about meet me for coffee or something? She said, maybe. I said, give me your phone number. Well, she gave me a phone number. She probably thought I'd forget it. Yeah. She probably thought I'd forget it. But I've got one of those memories for numbers, and as soon as she...
And you're thinking, she's a beautiful-looking girl.
Yeah, she was. And so I've got the phone number off her, and anyway, I rang her a few times, and eventually she agreed to meet me.
Yep.
And it just led from there. We finished up in having an affair. It was a pretty torrid affair, serious affair. Then she told me she had a daughter. The daughter was about 7 at that stage, and that she was going to leave him. But he apparently hit her. She came one day I met her, and she had a black eye. He whacked her, and I said, "What happened?" She said, "We fight. He's reached bigger than me. He hit me." And so I picked up a chair and chased him with a chair, and he went into the daughter's room and locked the door.
Yeah.
And the daughter came and said, "Mum, when are you going to leave this man?" You know.
Yeah.
So that's it. We decided that we would. She would leave him, and I split with the girl I was going with, and we went up to. I came there. We put a lot of stuff in her stuff in storage. She left him most of the stuff, and left him a note, and took her up to Queensland. We're giving her a trial run for a week, living up there. She wanted to see what I was like with a daughter, you know.
Yep.
And me and the daughter, we got on famously, pretty well. But he found out where I think she told him, he rang her all the time, and anyway, what happened, he hired a private detective.
He's a bloody control for
it. Hired a room straight opposite where we were.
Yep.
To do a report, and then he was ringing her, and he came up and lived in another room not far from us. Yeah, in a different hotel. Yeah. But what he did, he climbed up in a tree. He climbed up in a tree outside our window, and he had binoculars, and the dog that they owned come and started barking, and he tried to scream, and then he fell down, and he broke his glasses, and they asked us the next morning, did we know this tall, thin gentleman, and we knew who it was, and so we decided to get out of there, and but my car only drove about 30 metres and had all bloody stuff poured into the petrol tank, so I had to get the engine redone.
He's got real issues. This bastard. Yeah.
And then he rang her up and told her he's going to drive in the back of a truck. And apparently the detective put in a report that we seemed like a normal family, very happy. Well, he couldn't handle that either, you know. And so what happened? He told her that he moved out of the house where they lived.
Yep.
So she agreed to go back there, and then she was going to go to Russia and see her parents before she decided whether she's coming back to him. But she told him she's going to leave him. Yep. Well, when she got home, he was there in the house, living there, and he hadn't. And she just lied, and so she come and rang me. I was back in Queanbeyan, and she rang me, and he heard her say she loved me. Yeah. And he slit his wrist in front of him.
Oh, shit.
Yes, slit his wrist, but only just slightly. Yeah. And the daughter saw it, and then he collapsed to the floor. And then he rang me and just passed it up and rang me and told me I'd be dead by sunset.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't have any option. I went to the cops because I could have handled this guy easy, but he'd already bloody rang up and
he's playing games all over the place. Yeah.
And I said, if he comes and confronts me and I have to hurt him, I'm going to be with my record.
With your track record.
So I went down and told the cop. Well, as soon as the cop heard the story, he started getting dirty on me. He said, you run off with his wife. What do you expect? So I didn't expect him to say that, he's going to come, that I'll be dead by sunset. I said, he's bashed his wife. Yeah. I said, when he was in Russia.
She broke it off with him.
Yeah, when she was pregnant, he was running around with all these different women. Yeah. And he used to throw it in her face. I said, she wants to leave him. Yeah. I said, anyway, I'm telling you, I want you to put a report in. Yeah. He said, I'll put the report in. He said, well, I understand where he's coming from. This is a cop. Yeah. I tell him, it was sort of, he was professor and I was an ex-criminal. They knew who I was, see?
Yeah.
And so I knew I'd going to have problems there. And it just went on, all these bloody family court battles. And
finally, he's gone? Yeah.
No. We fought us in the family court and we got custody for 5 days a week and he got custody for 2 days a week. Yep. At first, they wouldn't let me stay with a girl, and because he was complaining I was a criminal, and I had to stay in a caravan park. But finally, they agreed to let her stay with me, but she used to run off. He used to get her to run off because he got a place near us, and she'd run off as sort of a little game. She'd run to his place. And we were worried that, she'd run off at night. Yeah. And we were worried someone would grab her.
Yep.
So one day she ran off. Lucy said, she's gone. And I said, you go up along through the park. She might have gone that way. And I said, I'll head up on the highway in the car. I said, we knew where she's going. And I got up on the highway, and there she was, coming across the road. And I parked the car on the side of a road, right, the engine running, and run over and grabbed her, put her over my shoulder, and she said, damn it, and I ran and put her in the car, drove her home. Nobody reported it. Nobody. People would have seen this stranger pull in a car, run over and grab a girl, put her on the shoulder, and nobody reported it. Yeah. And Lucy couldn't believe it. So, she said, well, what the hell are we going to do? And we were really concerned about that. Yep. And we brought it up to the judge and said, look, the girl's running off. Yeah. And he said, look, I don't care what happens. We're going to sort this out because they're all going to get along together. And but he favoured him. He bugged our house. He got said I hit him. He broke the girl's glasses once. And Lucy had hold of him because he grabbed him, brought him back, and the glass had been broken. Yeah. And I heard him yelling out, and I ran out, and he pushed her off. He jumped in the car, and I run over, and he's kicking at me, and that's the only time I hit him. I whacked him and broke his glasses because he'd broken ours. Yeah, and so he had me charged or tried to, but the cops they wouldn't buy it. They wouldn't buy it. The cops wouldn't buy it. They didn't like it. They knew what he was doing. So anyway,
did you finally shake him? Yeah.
Well, we didn't shake him because what happened, the judge was on his side, as his professor. They didn't like, they gave him custody of nearly all the property. And what the judge, he asked for my record, and he said he wanted to see if I was a pedophile or a drug addict. Yeah. And the judge let him have it. Yep. He said, but you have to keep it, don't give it to anyone else. He sent it all around Australia. He sent it down, he took it down to local schools, showed them where I hired cars, showed them, just blacking my name everywhere, showing them this record. Jeez. And sent it all. Well, he got lucky because he sent it to Queensland up there, and I had an old warrant about 30 years old for not reporting on paroles, and it activated it. Oh. Yeah. So next thing the cops had come and said, John, we've got, you're getting extradited. And I said, oh, I'm going to fight it. They said, you can't fight it. It's a warrant from the prison. You're actually on parole. And you're going. They were sympathetic. So they said, we're coming the next morning at 9:30 to court. You'll have to go back. Well, I knew they were giving us a chance. We took off. Well, we lost the house, the bond, the car, everything. You lost everything. And next thing, I'm robbing banks. Lucy's still fighting the court battles. Yep. And I'm suing her, but I started to rob. I robbed the bank. Went back to that. Got away with that. Yep. First one. Second one, at Barrel, things went wrong. The they put a dive bomb in it. Off-duty cop was outside until I was seen the bloody smoke coming out and ran after me. And it was quite a scene, and the bank manager came too, and I ran down, saw him there, stopped, and he put behind a car, and then he picked up a rock, threw it at me, missed me by about an inch. I fired a shot over his head. I said, it's a real gun. It's a real gun. I said, He said, no, it's a toy, and he's thrown another one at me. So I fired one in the shot into the ground where he could see the dust. Yeah. And people are driving past, and they saw this, and they're ringing up saying, they're doing a movie in town. What movie is it? They don't recognise the actors.
It's real. It's not a movie.
Fair dinkum, people just don't get it. Anyway, I managed to get away from him, but by the time I got to the car that I had and drove round into a laneway, and I had red dye all over my hands, so I changed into a suit. Yeah. And I had a wig on. I took the wig off, and I looked totally different. Yeah, this was a young guy robbed the bank. All of a sudden, I'm an old guy in a suit. Yep. And I thought, I'm a chance. If I can get around to the shopping centre and get some of this dye off, I'm a chance of getting away here. And I'd thrown the bag of money away because it had red dye. Well, they reckon Lucy was there and got it because the money was never found. They reckon Lucy got it. But they could never prove it. And they reckon that's how she funded what was coming up. Anyway, what happened, somebody saw me go into the changing clothes, and they told me, the cops come up. They weren't sure it was me. I was walking down, but I had my hands in my pocket, and they got out and said, who are you? I said, I'm going with my body name. Yeah. The sweat was pouring off me. I had a suit on, but I had runners on. Yeah. He said, pull your hands out of your pocket. I said, well, he said, pull your hands out of your pocket. Yeah. And then 2 squad cars. I pulled a bloody red-handed. Yeah. Got caught red-handed. Yeah. So they got me, and, they were pretty sure Lucy was around, but they couldn't ever prove it. And I went to Silverwater Maximum Security Jail. Yep. It's a very modern jail. Lucy came out to see me, and she'd cut her hair. She had really long hair. She'd cut it. And I said, well, she said, when you're out again, I'll grow it again, Mm-hmm. And I said to her, look, we're probably going to have to...
Part ways?
Yeah, part the ways, call it off. And we were a pretty strong relationship,
Yeah.
And she said, no way. And I said, look, she said, I'm going to get you out of here. She said, Jackie got you out, I'll get you out. Well, Jackie's a girl in Queensland, we'll talk about it some other time. But I said, that was different. I said, they're aware now. I said, the squad have got me because I knew. I said, we go to court, I'll have special security on me, and there's no way that we'll get a chance. Anyway, they took me to Queensland on a traffic matter. You wouldn't believe it. And Lucy was there. She was on a visit, and they said, you're going to Queensland. I said, you're kidding. I said, Australia. They said, no, you're going. The visit's got to finish up. I said, Lucy, I'm going up to Queensland. She came up by train because they kept me there overnight. Came to visit me, and I was going to court the next day. And she came in a little visit, and she had the gun. So I'd given her this little silver gun, this little pistol, a revolver, had twin barrels. Yeah. You fit it in your hand. It's called an assassin's gun. 22, held 22 bullets and 222 bullets. And you can hold it in your hand. She had that. She said, I'm going to get you out. I said, what, in court? She said, yeah. I said, Lucy, I said, say we get out of court. Yeah. I said, what are we doing? Yeah. I said, you come up by train. Yeah. She said, well, hijack a car. I said, it's not that easy. Yeah. I said, it's not that easy. I said, they'll block the city
all over the place.
Yeah. I said, well, get killed. I said, they'll kill us, both of us. I said, look, she said, I want to get you. I said, no. I said, look, we'll find a way. We'll find a way, but this is not the way.
Plan it.
Yeah. But it showed you, the balls that she had.
Yeah, she had some front. Absolutely. Yeah. And she really loved you, mate. It was a strong love. Yeah.
And so I go back to Silverwater, and I looked, and it was just impossible to get out. Yeah. I spoke to a few guys, said, how would you get out? They said, you can't. It's impossible. It's all modern thing, American-based. And then I saw the helicopters coming over all the time. And next door to Silverwater was the Olympic Stadium. The Olympics were coming on the following year.
Yeah, so there was a hell of a lot of construction.
But people, tourists, were coming over to have a look at it.
To have a look, yeah.
Yeah, and
it was a massive place. Yeah.
And, I saw 10, 12, even 15 one day just going over when I was on the open. Yeah. And I thought, wow. And I looked at the screws. Now, normally in a jail, a helicopter comes over, they're alert. Yep. Because every crim's dreamed about getting out in a helicopter. They all dream and talk about it. They never do it. And it's too hard. And it is too hard. And I had no idea how to do it. No idea. And it was just a dream. But I did see that. I thought, if ever you're going to get out in a helicopter, this is where you do it. Because the screws weren't taking any notice. And there were so many of them coming over that I thought, so that put the German way. And I said to Lucy on the next visit, I said, there's one way out. She said, what? I said, helicopter. I said, you'd have to go and hijack one. Yep. She said, brilliant.
No questioning. She was, okay, let's do it.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I said, it won't be that easy. And, we don't know much about it. And her father was a helicopter pilot in the Russian army, and he was a commander.
Oh, shit.
I said, what did you learn? She said, nothing. I was never allowed anywhere near it. And so I knew nothing. I said, okay. I said, we got to find out. So, and then Corrective Services decided to give me a break.
Yep.
Without even realising it. The police extradited a pilot by the name of Paul Bennett, who's had, I think it was 10,000 hours experience as a helicopter pilot. Yep. He's a con man, well-known con man. They extradited him. First of all, he went from South Africa to Scotland, and then we got out of Scotland, they extradited him over here for fraud and checks and stuff. And they brought him to Silverwater on remand, and there were about 20 wings that he could have gone in. They put him in mine.
Yep.
And as soon as he got into mine, I knew who he was. I went and saw the screw and said, look, I'm in the cell with a young bloke. He's driving me nuts. He's watching Rage at night. I can't handle it. You know, we would get him out. And he said, I can't. I said, look, there's a bloke just come in, more mature guy, that Paul Bennett. Put him in my cell. I said, you know, and put him in it. He said, oh, okay. He said, he put him in my cell. Yeah, so all of a sudden, I've been delivering a helicopter pilot. Yep. I'm thinking about getting out. And all of a sudden, I've got a helicopter pilot in my cell. The stars aligned.
It's just popping into place.
Yeah, it was meant to happen. It couldn't happen any other way.
Yeah.
So he was a con man. He knew who I was. So he's trying to con me, and I'm talking to him, and he's going to decide he's going to bust me out. He's telling me how he's going to bust me out. Lucy got it. I told him I still had all the money from the bank, that Lucy had it. So he said 10,000 up front, and he'll do the rest later on time payment.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to hit a bank or something. So I said, well, how are you going to do it? He told me how he's going to do it.
Yep.
He had all these booklets, helicopter pilot. I went through them. I said, what's a transponder? He said, transponder, that's a silent alarm footed. So I realised what that was. That had to be disconnected. And what's this? What height you got to be? What about here? And I learned everything there was to know. And I got it through to Lucy. So she went and hired a helicopter and did a trial run. And she came back and she was all excited. She said, it can be done. It can be done. I said, did you see where the transponder was? Yeah. I said, you know what you got to do? She said, yeah. So we planned it.
Yep.
Well, it was going to happen on a Thursday, and something happened. We couldn't do it. They weren't available.
Yep.
And just as well because a poor young Muslim guy hanged himself across from me, and they shut the whole wing down.
Yep.
And his parents come in straight away. They have to have a quick burial, and they come in straight away. And it was really sad. But so if we'd have been going ahead then, she wouldn't have known. I could have got out. And I realised. So I said to her, look, I have to phone you.
Yep.
I said, I only get out twice a week. I have to be in the yard. You have to know I'm on the oval before you do it. She said, right. So the morning she booked it, and the morning that it had to happen, I went out there was a big line waiting on the phones.
Yeah.
And I went over the screw. I said, are we going the oval? He said, 10 minutes we're going. Everything's fine. So, there's no fights, there's no this, there's no that. So no staff shortage. I knew we were going. So I said to the guys, look, I've got to make a phone call to my lawyer. I'll only be 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I've got to jump in. They said, 20 seconds, all right, John. So I jumped in, rang Lucy. She was waiting there and said, look, I'm just going out for a jog, and I'll see you. I'll ring you when I get back. That was the signal. So she went in. Their helicopter was running late. And
there's so much pressure on this now, mate. It's
yeah. So we come out, and I brought Paul Bennett with me. I said, you want to come out the oval with me? He said, all right. And we go out there. Then a guy nearly got into a fight. This big guy was picking on a little guy. A little guy was singing out, so the screw could hear him, I'm not frightened of you, I'm not frightened of you. And deliberately doing it, trying to get the screw to say what's going on.
Yeah.
And the big guy saying, oh, shut up. And he said, I'm not frightened of you, I'll fight you anywhere, he's saying,
Yeah.
And I had to step in. I said, listen, don't worry, I'll fix it. I know this guy. I said, I'll fix it. So because, they could have blown, they could have taken it.
They could have fucked the whole
thing.
Yeah.
So we get onto the oval, and I said to the big guy, I said, look, forget about that. I said, no, that guy owes us some weed, and then I said, I'll give you a couple of packets of tobacco. I said, to smooth it over. He said, "You better pay me." I said, "I'll pay you." I said, "On Friday." He said, "Okay." Yeah. He said, "All right." So, it's moved over, yeah. So then we're walking around with Bennett, and a couple of guys called me over to the thing, and I didn't want to go, but I knew I'd bring attention, but someone come back and said, "Look, you've got to go and see him." I went over, he had some chocolates for me or something. So they grabbed him later on because they thought he was part of it, But I saw about 10 choppers come out, and every one of them, my heart's going. And some of them were too big, I knew, but some of them I thought it could be it, and they just went over. And about 10 minutes to go, the sweat's pouring off.
The pressure would be intense,
Well, I thought, if we're going to call us back inside shortly. We get called back inside. She arrives later.
Yep.
And I knew she'd come. I just knew it. I knew she'd come. She gets there, there's a different team of guys. She's going to land it anyway.
Yeah.
There's a different team of guys here.
And you're not there, but there's still going to be trouble.
The worst stand-up date in history, that would have been, It would have been the worst stand-up date in history. And so I'm thinking what I'll do, I'll fall over and so I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And that gives me about 10 minutes because they don't carry her into the clinic. They shut down and they bring the nurse over and it takes about 10 minutes. And you're probably going to be dead by then anyway.
Yep.
But, So, I knew I could buy that time. But a couple of minutes after that, the chopper came and I knew it was her. But he made the limit deploy, I think, started to come around like that, coming down like that in a circle.
Trying to get attention.
Yep. And everybody's seen this helicopter come. He could have just come straight in and I found out he could have just come straight in like Bennett said, jumped on and been away.
Yep.
But by doing what he did, he alarmed the tower.
Yep.
One guy's run over and unlocked the bloody thing and got the rifle. They were quite a way away. But by the time he didn't land, he hovered about a metre off the ground. And I started running. Bennett said, "You bastard,
Yeah, he's Jerry. You bastard, you're going now.
Yeah. And he said, "Good luck." But as I did, I looked over and all these screws were running towards me, 5 of them. But they made a mistake when they looked up and they saw it. They all stayed together instead of spreading out.
Yep.
And I saw the guy from the gym. He's a really fit guy. He was running real fast. I knew he was a danger. He's coming. And then the squad car pulled up. They got there real quick, Dodge Squad, and they jumped out with pistols. But as I jumped onto the helicopter, she hammered with a machine gun. Yep. And what happened is that...
that was a Tommy gun?
Yeah, but it didn't work.
It
didn't work. And nobody knew that, but it didn't work. And I spun around like that, and as I did, they all dived on the ground, the screws and everybody dived on the ground. And then I got in, and then the screw from the tower went bang, bang, and he hit us 3 times. And he's missed this umbilical cord by about that much. If he hits that, the pilot said would have gone down. But we were lucky, very lucky. It was meant to be. It was just so lucky.
The fuel tank too. I mean,
so lucky he's hit it. He's not supposed to. Under Geneva Convention, he's not allowed to. And the screws run over and grabbed it off him because he wasn't allowed to do it. And I knew that. I knew he wasn't allowed to do it and thinking, would I? If I'd have known they were going to fire shots, never would have done it. Risk everybody's life. I thought there's no way he would. So, we were very lucky. Everything aligned for us. And
she's got the pilot with the pistol on
when she pulled the pistol on him, the little one with the 2 barrels, he said that he thought it was a toy. Now, he's ex-SAS guy. Now, he disarmed the guy who tried to take him, an ex-soldier over there over in New Guinea, tried to take him and disarmed him. Now, here he's got, but he said she was so, when she pulled the transponder out, he went to go for the transponder, she pulled it out, took his headphones off, and just sort of totally got him to the stage. He thought,
this girl's serious.
She's a Russian pro.
Right.
She's a Russian hit woman. That's what he thought. That's what he thought. She scared the crap out of him. He said later she scared the crap out of him. But he still thought about knocking, because he's ex-SAS guy, and he had knocked that pistol out of her hand. But she saw it. She read him. And she pulled out the submachine gun. He didn't know it didn't work. As soon as she got that, he lost interest.
And
And
they were a pretty impressive bloody Thompson gun.
Yeah, very. And so we managed to get away. We got hit 3 times, but I said, look, you got to get us out of here quick. He said, mate, you're unlucky. We've got the slowest chopper in history here.
Yeah.
And he was deliberately going the wrong heights, trying to attract attention.
Yeah.
But his transponder was
trying
good.
to do funny stuff.
Yeah. And what happened? People knew about it. It was already on the news.
Yep.
Got there so quickly, and people said you're coming over that, and they were ringing John Laws.
Yeah.
And I did an interview with John Laws later, and about the book, The Last Escape, and he said that's the most incredible day he's had on radio. He said because they were ringing him, he was giving them bottles of wine to know where I was, and they were ringing up. And when we landed at the Oval, Lucy had forgotten the keys to the car. She had a car. So we didn't have a car.
Shit.
And so we had to hijack a car. And when we got out, this guy rang. He said, they've just landed. And he told them exactly where we were.
Yeah.
Can you believe this? And John Law said, give him 4 bottles. He said, and they're telling everybody where we were. Well, the cops found out later.
Yeah.
They're running around,
all over. That would have been chaos. Yeah.
And they said later to the guy, if he'd have rang them instead of John Laws, they'd have got us. But like the guy said later, the cops wouldn't give him the wine over.
Where did you end up landing, John? Where was it roughly?
Macquarie Park.
Yeah.
Over there. Yeah. And so I got out onto the highway, and the guy was just coming out. I went over to the car and said, look, I need your car. I need you to drive me somewhere. I'm going to shoot you in the leg.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. He did it. I did some terrible things. It's all wrong what I did, but I did it. And you've got to admit you've done it. I've written a book about it.
Yep.
And you've done what you've done.
And you've shown a lot of remorse to victims. And
whatnot. We got, we were on the run for quite a while. Got away, but the heat was intense. They were getting 360 phone calls a day. And
you were on the run for 45 days.
Yes. Sooner or later, somebody had to have the right information to them. That's what happened. And
the stress of that alone, Jesus.
Well, I had somebody who was going to get us a passport, but that guy was in jail. He's going to go for his wife. Well, as soon as I rang his wife, she said, John, we're bugged. They were straight on to it. They just cut every contact I had off. And
well, you made them look stupid as well, so they're after you.
Well, they see that way. I don't see it that way. I think it would have happened sooner or later. Somebody was going to get out. People are trying to escape all the time. It's a natural thing. And the
only time it's happened in this country, mate.
Yeah, nobody got hurt. They're the only ones that endanger anybody by firing at the thing.
Firing shots. Yeah.
But look, I do. I did 15 years over it, and Lucy did 7. Pretty heavy. We wrote 4,500 letters. And they give us a hell of a time, both. It's really hard time in jail. I'm telling you, really hard time. Did everything they could. To split us up, and she found religion about 6 months before she got out, and sent a minister out to see me, and he and I couldn't agree on anything. I'm just not that way. I couldn't believe that the dyed-in-the-wool communist had suddenly, as she was, had turned to religion, and it was one of those way out bloody Baptist things, and
right.
And anyway, that was it. It was virtually.
You're distant friends now, mate, and reasonably amicable? Or?
Well, I've seen her a couple of times, but no, she's not happy about me putting the book out. But she's the one. I helped her write her book. She wrote about 8 chapters. It was brilliant. She would have had her bestseller.
Yep.
But she hasn't done that. I think the church stopped doing that. I don't know, but she hasn't done that. She talked about a movie, who was going to play her in a movie, and she's just changed. It's a total change. I don't recognise her anymore. And she sees probably me as the bad guy now, and she's right to a degree. But we had a great relationship, and these things are over. Yeah. And it's what happened. It's a small dot on Australian history, on the line of Australian history. There's no doubt about that.
Australian criminal history.
Yeah,
I mean, it's bloody amazing. Never happened in the country before.
No, so we've got that, but I've done a lot of courses, with psychologists and worked. And when I robbed banks, and I robbed a lot of banks, I look back, and I always saw this movie against the banks. They foreclosed on a house. They caused us to lose a house. Indirectly, I reckon Mum suicided because of the downfall. We just had nothing in the end. And and Dad was under a lot of stress. And so I blame banks.
Yep.
But I look back now and I tell young guys that I talk to, and I mean this, that, look, if you run in with a gun, doesn't matter whether it's a bank or anywhere, and you confront someone when you've got a mask on, you're waving a gun.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. And you're not traumatising the bank, you're traumatising the people in the bank.
Yep.
And, most of those people will probably recover, but there's some that may be traumatised for the rest of their lives. So you've got victims, and I've got a lot of victims, and I accept that.
Yep.
There's nothing I can do about it. I am remorseful for what I've done.
Absolutely.
And I reckon I've broken about even because I've done about 30 years in jail. I've paid a heavy price.
Absolutely.
So, but I realise...
I can see that remorse in you, mate.
Well, I say to young people, don't follow me. Don't follow me because it's wrong. But
We're not here glorifying what you've done.
Well, I've written 4 books now, and in every one of those books, I've got it across that it's wrong to do these things.
Yep.
And you know as well as I do, the money I make from books, I send overseas to underprivileged families, and I've got a lot of people that I've made happy and helped them get to school and even just clothed and fed them, and I feel good about that. I feel I've given something back. So I'm doing what I can.
You've done a lot of good as well, and it's a good thing, And I know, as you said, I do know for a fact that you've helped a lot of people in that.
Yeah.
By the way, our little back noise sound is my magpies, folks out there. They've been going at for the last 20 minutes.
I used to feed the magpies.
We love them. We love them. Yeah,
they love cheese.
They love cheese. And they're pissed off because they haven't had their afternoon feed.
Well, I don't blame them. We're a bit overdue, but I would like to do that last interview because we're not giving Jackie the rights.
No,
Jackie's what she did was probably right up there with Lucy.
Mate, we'll have you back.
All right.
We would love to have you back.
Right.
We've got a couple more to do after you, as you know, and then we'll come back.
I've got another story like the girl in a night dress too, but it's a different sort of thing.
Part 3. Well, we're definitely having you back now, mate. So, anyway, down the track. Mate, we're going to have to wrap it up for now.
All right.
Sherry and Mark are having kittens. And,
I really enjoyed it.
Mate, I've enjoyed it. It goes so fast.
I thought we were only there 20 minutes. How long have we made a bit more?
Yeah. You're a wealth of bloody information. This is the second part, episode 13 of Mr. John Killick, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care. We'll see you soon, swingers. Bye for now.